Well, good morning. Where am I looking? Over there. Good morning. I like to look you in the eyes as opposed to look at you like that. Welcome to this week's Monday Motivation. My name's Jenny Kovacs and I'm nicknamed the Queen of Being Seen because I help you predominantly, I have a specialism with helping you to stand out. However, I'm also a life coach and a business coach as well. So, this morning, I have had fun playing with the reverse screen on this Facebook Live, which I don't think is working. So never mind, hey ho. I will talk you through what we're going to talk about today. And today is all around fear. Funny thing to start a Monday motivation with, don't you think? Well, it's been coming up in varying degrees for myself, for clients, and whenever I hear about a subject matter or read about a subject matter and it seems to come from all angles, then I think to myself, well, this is a current thing. This is something that I think would be beneficial or useful. So whether you've ever struggled with fear, whether you wish that you were less fearful, or more fearless, either or, this episode of not Visibility Made Easy, of Monday Motivation is for you. Gosh, you wouldn't believe that I've been up for 40 minutes ish. So why am I talking about fear? And just to say, hey, good morning, Alan. He says, good morning, Jenny. And Ivana says good morning too with her purple heart. And she's saying good morning to you as well, Alan. So, the thing that I will start off with is there are different levels of fear. And the fear that I'm actually going to speak about a little bit about today is what I'm going to refer to as the crippling fear. Just recently I was having a conversation with a friend who is going to be doing something really great and there's a bit of a fear factor to it. You all, I'm sure by now, I've bored you senseless with the fact that I have entered the London Marathon, got through to the ballot, and I am going to be running the London Marathon in April. And so far, there hasn't been a fear factor per se, but there has been a kind of a swinging of, I'm excited about it, but also if I really let myself sort of like go into it all, I could start to think about all the things that, could happen, might not work out, could go wrong, and induce a fear factor that way. But today I'm going to talk about crippling fear. I'm sure we've all been there, and some of us might be in it now. The kind of fear where there's something that you're about to do or something that you want to do, but you're literally gripped by fear. It could be a situation, a scenario or a situation in your life. I like the play on words of situation. Don't think I'll be able to say that again in a hurry. But it might be a situation or scenario in your life that has you shaken. It could be something that feels like it's impacted on you. So let me give you some other kind of sliding scale examples. Some of the examples that I've heard of, even within the last month, the job and career tends to bring up a lot of fear stuff. So especially if people are looking for a new role, a different role, trying to better themselves at work, and they're worried about something which feels like an outside factor. Maybe the environment's very different. Maybe the environment doesn't feel conducive to them doing or being how they want to be. So sometimes we become fearful of that. Other scenario, let me give you a scenario from my own life. And this is going back a few years. But you know what? I never forget this because I think as a coach, it's really helpful that when I'm helping people work through their own fears, if I rock up to the session with a case of, yeah, been there, done that, that's so last year, now you're boring me and don't want to hear about it, that doesn't show any level of empathy, any level of concern, or any level of really understanding and engaging with the person at where they are. And it's interesting because one of my clients was telling me a few weeks ago that they'd worked with a couple of coaches that were for different things in different ways. And one of the things that they felt was that like they couldn't talk about where they really were or how they were really feeling, because the coach's tendency was, hey ho, chin up, move on, think about this. When you are in a place of an emotion, a very strong emotion that doesn't feel great, you do need to be heard. And it's funny that visibility ties in with this. You do need to be seen and you do need to be heard. And even though you might have transgressed the whole kind of positive thinking piece, in order to get to the place of positive thinking, you have to at least have felt or experienced the thing that doesn't feel great. So before I share my story of fear from a few years ago, there's a really beautiful way that this kind of fear is summed up. Hey, Teresa has joined us. Hi, Teresa, who's saying good morning to everyone else. And thank you for the rest of you who are watching in the background, who like to watch but prefer not to type. That's fine too. Carry on watching, carry on giving me thumbs up and love hearts. I really, really appreciate it. So where was I? Oh yes, so there's a book called The Life of Pi. It's not the book that you thought I was going to talk about, though I do have that book next to me to show you in mirror writing. A book called The Life of Pi. And in The Life of Pi, without doing a spoiler alert, The Life of Pi, and I'll let you read it if you haven't read it already, but there is one chapter which talks about fear. In fact, it's one chapter, one page, all about fear. And the way it's written is completely beautiful and eloquent, but really sums up what we can go through when we come to fear. So if you have read the book or got the book, you'll know which chapter I mean. If you haven't and you want to see that, I've actually had it typed out, obviously with the props to and copyright to the book. If you want to see what it says about that, send me a message to this page. Don't, if you know me personally, or you see someone's tagged me personally, don't send it to my personal page, because I get a gazillion messages and can't always keep up. Send it to this business page and I'll send you just like the document with the description of fear on. It's such a beautiful description, very accurate, but also very beautiful, very, very beautifully written. So quite a few years ago, and I was recounting this story, I'm trying to think, it would have been about 11 years ago now, 10 or 11 years ago, I was part of I wasn't delivering the training, I was part of a training piece which was around training neuro-linguistic programming. Actually, I'm qualified to train neuro-linguistic programming, although I choose not to these days. And there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of different pieces. And I particularly remember that we were going to be assessed on this one piece. I mean, it was five kind of chunky modules. Not only were we being assessed, we were being recorded on camera. We were being critiqued by the trainer. We were being critiqued by the assistants. And we were being critiqued by the people in the room, which usually would bring up a little bit of nerves, I'm not going to lie. But on this particular occasion, it brought up what I would describe as almost like a crippling fear. Now, you might think this is strange, because one of the things about fear, especially when we're in the crippling fear stage, is that many people who don't have that same fear will look from the outside in and say, oh, but it's only a snake, or oh, but it's only a tiny spider, look at the size of you compared to the spider. Or they'll say, yeah, but you've been training for ages. You've just pretend to be brave. Just brush it off. Don't go into it. Which sounds like helpful and useful advice, but actually isn't. So it was interesting after the event how, when I looked back and observed myself and what I did to create the fear, is pretty much what many of us as human beings will do to create a scenario that we don't want. And I'll explain a bit more about how that works as I tell the story. But the reason for me, and there's always one or two pivotal things. The reason for me was that not only were the people that were assessing, my fellow students, my peers, not only were they all professional trainers as well as I was, in my own right, in their own right, a majority of them, for some reason on this particular course, were school teachers, proper trainers, my head told me. And a couple of them were head teachers. One of them had been working and was still working in an area where the students to teach them were allegedly tough. So they were like specialist teacher, specialist head teacher. And one of these people who had been a head teacher was employed and consulted to go around and help the teachers that were really struggling. So the teachers that weren't doing well, the teachers that were struggling, to really help them and get them kind of back up to standard and excelling in standard. So there wasn't really a lot that they didn't know about professional teaching, professional training. And I only realised this afterwards when I kind of looked back and reflected, but at the time it was like, for some reason, the thought of delivering the training in front of the peers was starting to terrify me. And it was only like the week in the lead up to this this training that I had, which was on the Saturday. And I remembered it was quite a few miles from where I lived. It was about 3-hour drive from where I lived. So I did my usual, got up mega early, hit the road at 6 o'clock, got there for the 10 o'clock start. And I remember this feeling of not wanting to go. Well, perhaps if I didn't go, but it was a course that I'd paid for. It was 2 days. I wanted to learn how to do this. I did want the feedback, but at the same time, I just couldn't get rid of this knot in my stomach. It just wouldn't go away. So I went along, literally for the whole journey. Even though I had the radio on, I didn't really listen to it. And all I could do was think about how it could all go wrong, how I could fluff it up. I couldn't decide, should I teach this bit? And even though I'd practiced this bit and this bit and this bit, which one should I teach? Because I wouldn't have time to teach them all. What if I ran out of time? What if I got disqualified? What if? And I really, quite literally, did my own head in. And this is one of the things that happens when we get a crippling fear. Now, you might think, wow, Jenny, is that all you've got to be fearful about? And that's fine. Someone I was speaking to recently is going to be doing like a physical something. Think of things like parachute jumping, abseiling, skiing, racing, car racing. All of those things are fast and quick. And the fear that they might be feeling is pretty rational. And the reason why they might have been feeling it in the first place is because, I'm thinking a lot. And as I'm thinking a lot, I'm looking around and finding my words and not really looking at you. So I'm still here, just for the record. So it's quite reasonable to think, well, this is actually quite life-threatening, or this could be dangerous. So I have every reason to feel fearful. And you do. However, in order to feel fear, we need to construct it ourselves. Whether it's fear around creepy crawlies, whether it's fear around delivering a public, speaking talk, whether it's fear around doing video. I help people on a daily basis. And by the way, while I remember that, this week we are going to be doing 5 days of Facebook fun over in the Visibility Vibes Tribe Facebook group. So if you're not yet in the group and you want to join in the fun, maybe you just want to join in the fun for the week. When you get asked the questions, just say, video visibility, and I'll let you in. So, whatever comes up for us, whatever fear comes up for us, it could be that it's something we want to get past or get through. Now, for some of us, the fear level isn't the crippling fear type, but it will stop us from doing something. So it could be we want to be like more consistent in doing something. We want to grow our visibility. Maybe, like many of you who watch these, you are already doing your own videos. But, your videos might not be getting you the results that you want to get, So, yes, you want to grow your audience, but, you want to get new clients from it, and that's not happening. Or you find yourself saying, you know what, I'm fine with video, I'm not even scared to do it, just haven't got the time. Well, we need to make the time. There'll be an underlying reason why that's not happening, and that's normally linked to some sort of fear. And especially when we work in our own kind of like personal development space, it's almost like our brains, our egos can get really clever with hiding something and making it look like something else. Too busy, don't have enough time, which actually stems from the form of fear that says, I'm not good enough. That's basically where it starts from. So first thing to do is, if you're feeling fearful and you're in crippling fear, regardless of the situation, regardless of whether you think it's big, small, important, not important, life-threatening, don't do the thing to yourself where you negate it by saying, but there are people in the world that are starving, or, but there are other people in a worse off situation. Because what you are doing is you're negating how you are feeling about your own, about your fear. And in that particular moment, when you're looking at fear, looking at moving through it, eradicating it, or whatever you want to do with that fear, you need to look at where you are, exactly where you are, and the comparison of other people, other situations, other scenarios won't help. Okay, so look at what you're fearful about. You might look at why you're fearful. Is it that you're about to jump out of a plane? And it can be quite scary. If you're about to do something like that, look at what the fear is doing. Fear is kind of doing its job to protect you. And actually, while we're at it, this is a book that I wanted to show that wasn't in mirror writing. Very famous book by Susan Jeffers, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. Really, really great book, especially if, and many people who go through this kind of crippling fear will be overthinking, will be putting a lot of thought into the fear and onto the fear. So give your brain something else to do other than replaying the worst case scenario. Read the book, read little by little, and just kind of have something else for your brain to focus on. Ivana's saying that she loves that book. It's a great book. In a way, I kind of use it as a reference book. I'll dip in and out. I'll dip in and out for myself. I'll also dip in and out. I'll dip in and out preemptively in a way for clients as well, because just because I don't have the fear about the thing they're fearing doesn't mean that it doesn't exist or that it's not real. And Teresa is saying empathy is key with a little gold star. I love that. So the thing is have a look at why you could be fearful. Don't worry about what anyone else thinks, because quite often when we are in this fear place, we'll speak to other people and they will also cement the fact, yes, absolutely right, of course, and this could happen and that could happen. So what we need to do is we need to have a look at our own fear. What is it about? Where is it coming from? Why do we think we have it? And if possible, if you can list it down, even if you list it down on a scrap of paper and throw it away, that's okay. But if you can list it down and pull it out of your head so that it's not swimming around your head, because what you'll actually be doing is you'll actually be replaying and replaying over and over again. Now, this is the single critter that really does this, especially if we're in overthinking mode. And the reason for that is when we're replaying something over in our head, we're doing a couple of things. We're either continually verbally telling ourselves in our head the thing that we don't want, the results that we don't want, the scenario that we don't want. And because we're doing that, we're either telling ourselves that, or you might be doing a combination, or we're almost like we're watching, making a film in our mind of the events not going well. I remember somebody telling me who was terrified of public speaking, how they used to go red all the time, and even as they started to describe how they didn't like public speaking, you could see it in their body language and the way that they shrunk down. And with them, we worked out that they were playing almost like a video in their head about all the things that could go wrong, all the reasons why people wouldn't want to listen to them, all the things that they would say, which in turn cemented this internal voice that said, oh, and you're boring, and you're quite short, and no one wants to listen to you, and, you're just going to mess it up. You're not going to get your words out. You're going to ramble. You're going to feel nervous. So the picture of that, along with those words swimming around in our heads, are enough to make a person really do a number on themselves when it comes to being fearful. The only thing is, a lot of the time, because we can go into automatic pilot with fear, a lot of the time we won't even realise that's what we're doing. So there'll be a combination of things that we see. It could be like pictures or images, it could be words, it could be a combination, which in turn will lead us to feel the fear, literally feel the fear. So what do we do, and how do we neutralise that? How do we move past it? So the first thing really that you need to do, like I say, is have a look at where you are. Like, do not pass go until you've looked at what specifically you're feeling fearful about. And this is when working with a coach is so great, because trying to do all this by yourself and, you know, being in that place of fear, normally fear wins. It's the strongest pull, the strongest emotion that it draws you back to. So once you've looked and identified various sort of elements of what exactly it is that you're fearful of, then you can start to have a look at, well, how am I constructing fear? Is it just the feeling, or, you know, is it more the words? Is it more the pictures? Is it the combination of both? How am I doing this? And a really great tool will be to work out how you are, how you are generating the fear even more, and write it down. And you'll be able to see your own pattern. And by the way, if you were to compare how you were being fearful about something with me, or with, say, Teresa, or with Alan, or with Ivona, who are watching live on there, and the others who shall not be named, it's okay for you to watch. If you were to compare it with all of us, we would all do it differently. We'd all put it together differently. Some of us would have a big booming voice telling us something. Some of us would have a quiet, sarcastic voice. Some of us would be seeing a black and white picture. Some of us would be seeing a big kind of film production. We'd all do it differently. So knowing how we do fear with one specific thing. So there's no point going, well, I'm fearful of jumping out of planes and creepy crawlies and, you know, being out in the rain, and trying to fit it all. Look at each individual fear and map that out. And then finally, the best thing to do then, once you've identified what it is, how you're constructing it, you can either then partner up and work with somebody, preferably somebody who knows what they're doing. Here's the biggest mistake that I see. By the time people get to me, they've tried to do it by themselves and without the success that they wanted to. They've either been thinking about it, they've spoken to a dear friend or a family member who isn't trained or qualified to know how to guide or navigate them through it. But the other sneaky one that they do is, oh, well, I had a friend who did the same thing and they were really scared too, so I thought I'd have a chat with them. When actually what you're doing is you're comparing your fears, but you're not able to move through it or move forward with it. And that's the bit that tends to keep you in that stuck feeling. And it's all well and good if you kind of feel the fear and do it anyway, if you get to that point. But there are people, you know, there's a statistic that says there's a certain number of people every day at Heathrow Airport in the UK who don't get on a plane because the fear was too much. They literally will turn around. That doesn't mean that, oh, well, you didn't just get on the plane. It meant that they didn't go on their holiday. Maybe they didn't do the business trip. Maybe didn't get the chance to make and create memories with the family. Didn't get the feeling of freedom that a holiday would bring them, all because of that fear that stopped them. So don't ever negate how important this could be for you. So if you're one of those people and, you know, there's a certain fear you've got, no matter how strange it might seem to you, do reach out, do contact a coach. I'd love to work with you if I'm that person, but if not, do contact a coach. And if you're part of the Vibes Tribe, we've got a whole wealth of coaches in there that cover things from relationships, diet, health and well-being, finance, money. You know, I've even got myself a coach for my London Marathon training, and so far I'm not feeling the fear. I've got no point of reference, mind you, but I'm not feeling the fear. I'm just taking it bit by bit, and with a combination of advice, practical tips, mindset, space to think, reflection time. What you'll find is, if you are working with somebody through your fears, it stops you from using your time to overthink and using your time to move through. So finally, why does it grip us so much? When we're overthinking, playing pictures, hearing the sounds, or whatever we're doing, we're telling the subconscious part of our brain that has no physical language that the thing's happening, and we get scared. And that part of our brain goes into fight or flight mode, flight or fight mode, where it just thinks that the thing is actually happening. So what we're doing is almost like an affirmation, a negative affirmation, as opposed to a positive affirmation, where we're building up, we're overthinking it, we're playing it back, and we're really, as I say, doing a number on ourselves that says, oh my gosh, this is really a threat, this is really going to happen. By which time we're rendered useless to actually make any steps forward and go through that fear, because we're already in such a state. So I hope that this isn't you. I sincerely hope that this isn't you and something you're going through right now. But if you would like to talk about how we could work together to help with that, please do send me a message here. But more importantly, if you would like to, a couple of things that I would ask you to do. If you'd like to share this video, I'd love you to share it. I'm blown away by even some of the comments that I get underneath these videos and the replays that happen throughout the week, but also some of the comments and feedback. And sometimes I don't hear about it. It can be sometimes for weeks, for months. And in a couple of cases, people have sent me messages to say, I've been watching these for years, thank you so much. And I had somebody last week who not only joined my group, the Vibes Tribe group, but they actually started liking this page based on a recommendation of someone that obviously watches these on the replay. They've never left a comment, never left a like, which is fine by me, but they've enjoyed watching this so much that they have referred this on to someone else who ended up coming and being part of the Vibes Tribe. You know, I'm so grateful to you, for those of you that do that. So grateful for you and to you, so thank you. So in the meantime, please feel free to share this on your timeline. You never know who might be needing to hear this message or elements of this message. Maybe they need to read the book. Maybe they want to read the one-pager for the one chapter of the life of Pi. And if you are nervous about doing video, this week would be a great week to join in with us. If you're not nervous about doing video, but you're maybe nervous about putting your life's work out there and some of like your own authentic self out there, you know, you might watch these and think, how can she just get up, you know, no makeup, no studio, no teleprompter, no script, and do these videos or do these Facebook Lives and focus and concentrate? Like, how does she navigate those moving parts? Or it could be that you've been out there for a while, you know what you're doing, you know your subject matter, but you're really here, you're not playing, you're here to make a dent in the world. And by doing that, you want to get out there more. If that's you, you know, hit the join the group button and join us in the Visibility Vibes Tribe for our 5 days of Facebook fun. It's not a challenge, it's 5 days of Facebook fun. And the first one is going to kick off just after I press finish on this Facebook Live. So if that's you and you want to join in, or you've got friends that you know need to join in and you want them to join in with you, send them over there. Let's have some fun this week getting you out there on Facebook. Thank you so much for watching. If you've got any questions or anything else that you want to know and you don't want to share it so publicly in the comments below, do hit the message button, send me a message, and I will come back to you throughout the day. Now, Mondays will be a bit of a slower day for me because Mondays is my coaching call day. So I'll be on coaching calls with private clients, and I will answer them kind of in between some of those calls. Thank you so much for watching these. Thank you so much for your support and love. Thank you so much for sharing. If you want a place to start, check out this book. It's fantastic. Lots of love to you. Bye for now.